What if the greatest king in history started his life as an unknown shepherd boy, a boy no one believed in, a boy his own family overlooked? Yet that same boy defeated a giant, became a mighty warrior, and rose to the throne of Israel. Today, we are diving into the incredible story of David, a story of courage, faith, failure, and redemption. Stay with me, because David's journey might change the way you see your own life. The story begins in Bethlehem. David was the youngest son of a man named Jesse. In ancient times, the youngest son was often the least important. While his older brothers trained as warriors, David was sent to the fields to watch sheep. Day after day, under the burning sun and cold nights, David protected the flock from lions and bears. But something special was happening in those lonely fields. David wasn't just guarding sheep, he was building a relationship with God. With a harp in his hands and faith in his heart, David sang songs that would later become the famous Book of Psalms. No audience, no applause, just a shepherd and his God. At that time, Israel had a king named Saul, but Saul had turned away from God. So God sent the prophet Samuel to Bethlehem to anoint a new king. Samuel looked at David's older brothers first. They were tall, strong, and looked like kings. But God said something powerful. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Finally, David was called from the fields, just a shepherd boy. Yet God chose him. And right there, in front of his family, Samuel poured oil on David's head and anointed him as the future king of Israel. Soon after, Israel faced a terrifying enemy, the Philistines. Among them stood a giant warrior named Goliath. He was over 9 feet tall. Every day, he mocked the army of Israel and challenged someone to fight him. But no one dared, not even King Saul. One day, David came to the battlefield to bring food to his brothers. When he heard Goliath insulting Israel and dishonoring God, David was shocked. He said, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" Everyone laughed at David. He was just a boy. But David had faith. Instead of armor and a sword, he picked up 5 smooth stones and a sling. Standing before the giant, David declared, "You come to me with a sword and spear, but I come to you in the name of the Lord." 1 stone, 1 swing. The stone struck Goliath's forehead, and the giant fell to the ground. That day, the shepherd boy defeated the giant. After that victory, David became famous across Israel. Songs were sung about him. Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands. But this created a problem. King Saul became jealous, very jealous. Instead of celebrating David, Saul tried to kill him. For years, David had to run for his life. He hid in caves, lived in the wilderness, and was hunted like a criminal. Yet, even when David had the chance to kill Saul, he refused. Why? Because David respected God's authority. He chose mercy instead of revenge. Eventually, Saul died in battle. And finally, David became king of Israel. Under his leadership, Israel became stronger and more united than ever before. David captured Jerusalem and made it the capital of Israel. He also brought the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem, celebrating with dancing and worship. David was known as a man after God's own heart. But David's story was not perfect. Even great men can fall. One day, David saw a woman named Bathsheba. Instead of turning away, David committed a terrible sin. This led to the death of her husband, Uriah the Hittite. When the prophet Nathan confronted David, the king was broken. Instead of denying his sin, he repented deeply. His prayer of repentance is recorded in Psalm 51, where he cried, "Create in me a clean heart, O God." David shows us something powerful. Even when we fail, God's mercy is greater than our mistakes. From a shepherd boy to a giant slayer to the greatest king of Israel, the story of David reminds us that God does not choose people based on status, appearance, or popularity. God looks at the heart. If God could raise a shepherd boy to become a king, imagine what he can do with your life. If this story inspired you, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more powerful Bible stories. And tell me in the comments which moment in David's life inspires you the most. Was it the battle with Goliath, his years of patience in the wilderness, or his repentance before God? I would love to hear your thoughts. And remember, your story is not finished yet. God may be preparing you for something greater.